We have a lesson in history. This is not just a constructive statement, but rather a reality established by events and addressed by generations, until they turned into axioms that forced us to review history to know the present, and which present is the one that preserves the dignity of peoples and preserves their rights, or who knows, perhaps some of the first people to inhabit the earth, or rather, the people of this earth, might be lost. There is no doubt that it is a very general question, but it is certainly controversial. So what if we want to talk about the most controversial places on earth, especially today? Here we mean the land of Palestine, or what was previously known as the land of Canaan. What is the story of this land? What is the basis for naming? Who lived there first and stayed there? Is it really Arab land? My friends accompanied me to delve into the depths of distant history and tell the story of the most controversial place on earth since the Great Flood. And to this day, according to what most historians have reported, what was mentioned in most of the books of documented narratives related to the Abrahamic religions, including our Islamic religion. Here is the full story before starting the episode, my friends. Do not forget to subscribe to the official channel and activate the notification bell. A flood began, and 3 of the children of the prophet of God, Noah, peace be upon him, came out on board the famous ship, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And the 4th son, according to historians, who is called Ayam or Canaan, he was the prodigal son who was led to go out with his father in the ship. It was broken in this flood, and after the ship docked, as is known by most historians, on Mount Judah, the children of the prophet Noah spread throughout the land, as Shem moved to the Arabian Peninsula in the village of Ham in North Africa, while Japheth headed towards what was known as the land of the Romans, or what is known today as Europe. What concerns us here are the people of Shem who lived in the Arabian Peninsula, and some of whom migrated from the Arabian Peninsula to this land, the land of Canaan or Palestine today, in search of stability in my own region, away from the difficult living conditions in the Arabian Peninsula. Specifically at the beginning of the 3rd millennium BC, the first important human migrations to the land of Canaan, and by important we mean the cultural and urban legacy that resulted from them, were decided by a group of residents of the Arabian Peninsula. They were called the Canaanites. They moved to the land of Canaan and they settled, lived, and spread in it. It was called the land of Canaan, and it remained that way until the events that changed its name began. That is, events that you will learn about shortly. The Canaanites built their civilization and left great urban monuments. Researchers inferred it from the Amarna letters, which were written in the Canaanite language, from which the Hebrew and Phoenician languages emerged, as clay manuscripts prove that civilization extended after Palestine and Lebanon to Syrian regions, such as Ras Shamra Agri, which was one of the important Canaanite civilizational centers since the first half of the 2nd millennium BC, and also the kingdom of Ebla near Aleppo. So, let us continue the story. Events began to occur on this earth. In the late 12th century BC, the series of invasions carried out by the Kuwaiti tribes on the land of Canaan began. These tribes were trying to invade Egypt across the seas, coming from Greece and neighboring regions, but they were unable. The Egyptians called them the Sea Peoples, meaning what is known in Greek or Latin as plast or ballisto, and because of the failure of their invasions of Egypt, they decided to change their destination to the land of Canaan, and in fact the series of invasions began until they settled on the shores of Jaffa and Gaza, so that region was named Palestine after the name of the Kuwaiti tribe, Bliss II, which in Greek means those coming from the seas. It was only a period of time until this new group merged with the Canaanites, the original inhabitants of the country, and the name Palestine was given to all the coastal and inland lands that were inhabited by the Canaanites, and with time the Canaanite Arab element prevailed. The entire population of the country became Canaanite Arabs again, but this was not the only event. Another event was no less important, which was the arrival of the first prophets to Palestine. The prophet Abraham, peace be upon him, who immigrated to the land of Canaan from the town of Ur in Iraq to escape the oppression of the unbelievers, and from Palestine or the land of Canaan, went on his famous journey and story that we all know to Egypt, and then to the land of Canaan again, then the Arabian Peninsula. Around the year 1004 BC, David, peace be upon him, succeeded in uniting the children of Israel again, and eliminated the disputes and wars that existed between them, and was able to defeat the Jebusites, and establish the first kingdom of Israel in part of the land of the Arab Canaanites, or Palestine. The situation remained as it was even during the reign of Suleiman bin David, peace be upon them, but after the death of our master Suleiman, disputes returned between the Jews. The kingdom was divided against itself, as the kingdom of Judah arose in Jerusalem and the kingdom of Israel in Samaria. Wars began between the two kingdoms, and each of them sought help from external powers. Some of them sought help from the kings of Egypt, while others sought help from the Husks. King Sheshenq of Egypt took advantage of the differences between the kingdom of Israel and Judah, attacked and occupied the latter, and from then on it became affiliated with the Egyptian state, and the Assyrians also followed suit. He shook the kingdoms of Israel and Judah, occupied them, and imposed tribute on them, and here was the suffering for the inhabitants of the kingdom of Israel, as most of its inhabitants were taken captive to Iraq after it attempted to rebel against the Assyrians. As for the kingdom of Judah, which was still in existence, it ended after the attack launched by Nebuchadnezzar the Chaldean on Palestine in approximately the year 597 BC, according to most historians. After which he was able to seize Jerusalem, the capital of Judah, and took its king, his family, and most of its leaders captive to Iraq, and established a new king in Jerusalem around the remnants of the Jews. During that period, there was a rebellion against the Sultan of Babylon in Palestine, so Nebuchadnezzar returned and invaded it again, and this time he completely destroyed Jerusalem, along with every trace of the children of Israel established on that land, and Palestine returned to being Canaanite and Arab. It receives the migration of Arabs from Syria and the Arabian Peninsula, and thus the Jewish state disappeared in Palestine after living for only 4 centuries, during which the prophets sent to the children of Israel tried to build a kingdom for them in a part of the land mainly inhabited by the Canaanite Arabs. He failed the prophets and they failed themselves, and the people of the land of Canaan, the Arabs who emigrated from the Arabian Peninsula, remained the inhabitants of this land, the land of Palestine. Since then, and for almost 2,000 years, history has not mentioned that a state or kingdom of the children of Israel arose during all that period, and the events, invasions, and wars it witnessed, whose goal was always to control this land. The situation continued as it was during that era, until the recent past, which brought about major international alliances and agreements, which led to what is the situation today. The conclusion of this episode is simple. Shown to you is the timeline and events related to this land, the land of Canaan or Palestine. You and I are not historians, but this story is agreed upon by most historians, and is true, and carries common points in all Abrahamic religions, and even in the Torah and ancient books. The question that has always puzzled you may be, how much is it? Is this land truly Arab? Did Arabs inhabit it before others? Who stayed there? Are they Arabs too? This is the story of the earth. I presented it to you. If I convince you, you have obtained the historical answer to your questions, which confirms the Arab identity of the land of Palestine and its ownership. You, my friends, have complete freedom to investigate and research, because, as I said in the introduction, history is an example for you, and we have a story on Thursday.